Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. Chapter 41. As we make our way back through the Everwood, the storm knocks branches from trees and whips wet leaves into our faces. I try not to feel guilty about everyone searching for me. In fact, I hope Grandma and Grandpa are worried sick. I hope they are blaming themselves, looking back on their lives, trying to figure out where they went wrong. I have an idea. Ducking under a branch heavy with rain, I hear a scream buried in the wind. Did you hear that? I asked Jack. Hear what? There it is again, and it sounds familiar. The world slows down. I feel every drop of rain on my skin. I know that scream. How many times have I heard her racing through the house? It comes from the direction of the first bridge. Ruth. I run toward the sound, leaving Jack behind. Mud sucks at my feet. The ground cannot hold any more water. At the riverbank, I look down and nearly fall. This is not my river. The water is rushing, roaring, cascading. I see rapids, debris carried away in the current. I see Dex and Ruth. Dex, on this side of the river, face up in the water, his shirt snagged on a branch. Ruth, kneeling on the shore beside him, screaming at the top of her lungs. She pulls on his shirt, but he won't budge. They must have crossed the bridge, and then Ruth. I slide down the muddy riverbank. At the bottom, Ruth throws her arms around me, wet hair in her eyes. He fell. I can barely hear her over the howling wind. Finley, get him up. Get him up. Stay here. Sit right here and don't move. I head for the water. With a crack, a large branch breaks from its tree and drops into the river. A second later, it is swept away. The branch holding Dex's shirt shifts. The water pulls and pulls at him. Ruth screams. Jack slides down beside me. I'll go. Jack makes his way down the slippery slope, but I cannot let him go alone. I tell Ruth to stay where she is, and I follow him. The ground flattens, and Jack almost falls, but I catch his hand and hold on tight. He stumbles, almost drags us both down into the water, but I cannot let go. I cannot buckle. I am a queen. Queens do not fall. Between the two of us, we get Dex out of the water and back to solid ground. He is a pile of wet clothes and cold skin. Jack suddenly looks lost. I don't know. What do we do, Finn? Ruth runs over, wails, shakes me. We do not have time for this. I press my hands to Dex's chest. We did this at school last year. We practiced on dummies. Rhonda thought it was stupid, that the dummies smelled like feet and we should not be required to touch them. I liked it. As we practiced on the dummies, I imagined what it would feel like to save a person. I thought that if I saved a person, I would no longer feel my sadness. How could you, after such a thing? But doing this in real life is different. This is no dummy. This is our Dex. I press and press until my fingers are sore. Coach Williams said giving mouth-to-mouth is not as helpful as pumping the chest, but I do it anyway, because I am panicking, because I am desperate, because I would give Dex all my air if I could. When he starts gasping and choking, spitting up river water, I sit back hard in the mud. He's okay? Ruth clutches his arm. Is he? Dex groans, his eyelids fluttering shut. Dex? Dex, I hold Ruth still. Something's wrong. Jack gently pushes Dex's hair aside, a gash on his forehead, a mark red with blood. Oh no! Ruth struggles in my arms. We didn't mean to. Ruth, stop it. Listen to me. We just wanted to find you. I catch her hands. What do you mean? You were missing. Everyone's looking for you, but they were looking all wrong. We knew where you were, but my heart sinks. So you went to find me. We thought if we found you, we could be knights. Ruth's face is a mess of rain and mud. We wanted to save the queen. We shouldn't move him, Jack says. I'll stay here. You go get help. But I am frozen to the ground. This is my fault. Maybe if I'd never told them about the Everwood. Maybe if I'd never brought them here. Jack grabs my hand. I won't let anything happen to them, okay? Go get your grandpa. Go. My fault, my fault, my fault. Finley. Ruth screams. I take one last look at Dex and climb up the riverbank. I know I must cross the bridge. There, through the trees, those flickers of lights. Amber, red, blue. Hart House. Police cars, I assume, looking for me. My fault. Dex, Dex, Dex. The Dark One stood tall on the queen's back, stomping, kicking, grinding her into the ground. Sad, sad orphan girl with a sad, sad curse, they cried. She takes everything happy and makes it worse. No, enough. Be quiet. I clench my fists. Stop it. Stop right now. The Dark One shrank back and fell silent. Think, Finley. I must cross the bridge, but it is long, narrow, slick with rain. I look down. Bad idea. The river is wild, swift, dark. I step back, breathing hard, the storm pounding in my ears, along with my heart, along with the rushing water. I cannot cross the river. My legs won't move that way. Cupping my muddy hands, I scream toward Hart House, but the storm swallows my voice. No one can hear me, but I know where I can go for help. Past the post office, up the hill, pulling myself up by the roots. I am a queen. Across the yard, through the maze of old lawn chairs and half-filled trash cans, I am not afraid. I fling open the screen door and pound on the door behind it. Please, please, please. The door opens. Mr. Bailey, I gasp. I'm sorry for bothering you. I know you don't like me, but please, can I use your phone? My cousin Dex. He's hurt. The river's flooding. Jack's with him. Please. I break down. The pieces of me collapsing inward until I am the smallest I have ever been. Mr. Bailey leads me inside. Okay, now. It's okay. He sits me down in a chair. Cole and Bennett run in from the other room. What happened? Asks Cole. Where's Jack? Mr. Bailey picks up an old wall phone and dials. Mr. Hart? He rubs his face. It's Jeffrey Bailey. Listen, your granddaughter's here. Finley. She's okay, but she says her cousin Dex is down by the river and needs help. Yeah, I've been watching the police come and go from over here. Yeah, okay. I'll tell her. Thanks. I feel like the chair has disappeared from underneath me. I have done my part. Dex will be okay now. He has to be okay. Mr. Bailey hangs up and sits down beside me. "Someone's coming to get you," he says. He seems a bit shaky. I wonder what he is thinking. A few minutes later, the door flies open. Avery and Gretchen burst in, drenched and pale. Behind them, Stick calls out my name. My cousins launch themselves at me. It is the warmest hug I have ever felt. Chapter 42. The paramedic said DX will be okay, but it is hard to believe them. When they carried him off on the stretcher, he looked too small and pale to be alive, like a soaked baby bird. Aunt Bridget and Ruth went with him. When I stepped inside Hart House in my wet shoes, the first person I saw was Aunt Bridget, and I thought she would yell at me, but she didn't. She hugged me close and squeezed. "You," pounded her heart. "You," answered mine. Then she swept Ruth up into her arms and they were gone. We stand around while Grandma and Grandpa talk with the police. They call my parents, tell them it's all right, that I am safe. They put the phone to my ear, and through the fog of my shivering and my exhaustion, I hear Dad saying something about the storm making it unsafe to drive. They had to turn around. Nearly got run off the road, but they'll get here as soon as it lets up. His voice breaks into jagged crystal pieces, and I realize he was terrified that he had lost me. I want to tell him I'm sorry, but I cannot find the words. Grandpa calls Dr. Bristow, too, to let her know that I am safe, and then I feel even worse. I hope she won't get in trouble for leaving her window open. When the police leave, there are 13 of us left. My family, minus Dex, Ruth, and Aunt Bridget, and the Baileys. 13 people in a crowded kitchen, and still the room feels too empty. Aunt Dee is in charge of wrapping the wet people in blankets. When she gets to me, she holds me close, tucked under her chin, and kisses my wet head. Maybe I should want to pull away from her, but I don't. Grandma is the first to speak. I can hear every secret that clogs her voice. "You all had better go home," she says to the Baileys, but she does not look directly at them. "I'm sure you're tired." Gretchen, red-eyed, shifts from one foot to the other. She stands behind Stick's chair, her arms loose around Stick's shoulders. Jack scowls at the floor. Cole stands stiff and tall in front of his dad, like a soldier. The house feels like it is holding its breath. I cannot stand this. "You could thank Jack," I say. Grandma turns to me. "Pardon me?" I said, "You could thank him. He helped me save Dex." "Yes, and he wouldn't have needed to if you hadn't been so irresponsible as to run away from Dr. Bristow's office." She's right, of course, but it is worse to hear it said aloud. The words crush me flat. Grandpa places his hand on Grandma's shoulder. "Candace, how could you have been so selfish, Finley?" Grandma's voice shakes, the heart mask slipping fast. I know she is upset. I get it. I know she was afraid of losing her grandchild. Still, I cannot believe she is saying these things to me. I know the real you, Grandma. I know about your wig. I know you snore. I know the truth. If you hadn't run off, Grandma continues, the twins wouldn't have tried to find you, and Dex would not have fallen. If anything happens to him, it will be your fault. Grandma, please, Avery interrupts. After everything we've done for you, after welcoming you into our home, you do something so blindingly selfish, Grandpa frowns. Candace, that's enough. Didn't you stop to think for 1 second about the consequences of your actions? Didn't you think selfish? My brain is stuck on that word. It stings, and it is unfair. At least I'm not a liar. Grandma blinks. I beg your, I know about the fire. Mr. Bailey told me. The house goes from quiet to quieter. Stick says, Dad, and looks at Grandpa like she's a little girl again and Daddy can make everything better. What's she talking about, Jeffrey? Grandpa asks. Mr. Bailey crosses his arms over his chest, his shoulders hunched. I'm sorry, Warren. I didn't mean to, honest, I didn't. You promised us you would never tell a soul. Grandma's voice is wire-thin. Especially not our grandchildren. I know, and like I said, I didn't mean to. Whether or not you meant to isn't the issue here. Grandma rises, leaning hard on the kitchen table. Everyone probably thinks she's angry and tired from worrying about me and Dex. But me and Avery and Grandpa, we know the truth. We had a bargain, and you broke it. Grandma continues. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You've always been irresponsible and good for nothing ever since you were a boy. Jack kicks an empty chair. Stop it. Don't yell at him. Mr. Bailey grabs his arm. Jack, it's okay. No, it isn't. Why are you letting them treat you like this? They're the ones who started the fire, not you. Grandma lets out a mean-sounding laugh. Oh, is that what everyone thinks? Well, allow me to set the record straight. Candace, says Grandpa, let's not do this right now. Everyone's had a long day. I stand up. Tell us. Everyone looks at me. Avery shakes her head slowly. What are you doing? I have no idea. But I'm tired of secrets. Tell us the truth, I say. We've been going to the Bone House all summer. We've been cleaning it, and we found the gravestones. It's ours now. We deserve to know. Grandma looks like she's ready to either cry or snap in two, but Grandpa says, okay, Finley. Okay. Dad, no. Stick whispers. Our kids, they deserve to know. She's right. Grandpa looks at Mr. Bailey. Jeffrey, is that okay with you? Dad? Cole asks. What's he talking about? Mr. Bailey nods slowly. It's all right. Just listen. The truth is, I've been wanting to tell this story for a long time, says Grandpa. We should have told it a long time ago, when it actually counted. Grandma makes a small noise and goes to the sunroom windows. The world outside is storm dark. Then Grandpa folds his hands on the kitchen table and begins. Once upon a time, a wizard lived in the Everwood. He had a wife and a small daughter. For generations, his family had been poor. He worked in a small shop where he earned enough wages to feed and clothe his loved ones and to take care of his crumbling castle. Though it was old and humble, he and his family loved it with all their hearts. They lived a small life, and they were happy. In this same forest, there was a river. On one side of the river lived a family of pirates. On the other side of the river lived another family, a king and a queen and 4 children. The family of pirates was troubled. The father had long abandoned them, and the mother fell into a deep sorrow. Their son left his schooling to take care of her, and the family's estate fell into disrepair. The family of royals was charmed. The king and queen were wealthy. Their son, the prince, was quiet and studious. Their daughters, princesses 3, were golden-haired, beautiful and clever, but increasingly discontent. There were many rules about how to be proper princesses, and the daughters hated them all. They wanted to please their parents, but they feared they never would. One night the 3 princesses took to the forest in the midnight hours, even though wandering into the woods after dark was forbidden. Their younger brother, the prince, secretly followed them, for he could tell they were not themselves. They walked unsteadily and spoke too loudly. The pirate son joined their revel, glad for the chance to escape his troubled home. The 4 young people began to drink and dance, filling the forest with laughter. From the shadows the prince watched, and he began to think his worry needless. They were children, after all, not much older than he. They were only children celebrating the night. They were wild creatures, and this was their kingdom. Their revels brought them deeper into the forest, until they were very near the wizard's castle, hidden in shadow and thick trees. The princesses and the pirate built a fire and danced around it. For a time they forgot everything else. The world was simply them and their forest, and their fire reaching higher and higher. But the fire grew quickly, consuming the surrounding trees, and the princesses and the pirate played their games and laughed their hearts free, oblivious to it all. The young prince ran out from his hiding place, shouting. The wizard's castle was wreathed in flame. They watched as the wizard fell from a tower window. He did not get up. Smoke filled the forest, followed by horrible screams. Someone remained in the house. 2 someones. The princesses and the pirate tried to help, but the flames were too great, raging stronger than any known Everwood spell. They found the man who had fallen and pulled him to safety. They watched as the castle crumbled and the screams faded away. The young prince ran through the forest and across the river to his parents' white castle. The king and queen summoned help, and they cared for the frightened children as the flames were put out. They even brought the poor wizard to the best healers they could find, but it was not enough. His hurts were too great. He woke up long enough to ask them 2 things: that they bury him and his family beneath the old tree behind their beloved house, and that they tell his family story and not let their memories turn to dust. But the king and queen were afraid. They gathered up the truth of that night and locked it away in the darkest parts of their hearts. The fire had begun through no fault of their own, they said. It was the poor wizard who had let his lands become overgrown, who had lit a fire when he should not have. The 3 princesses saw the flames from afar and tried to help, but they were too late. The 3 princesses then were heroes, and so it became known throughout the land. The Everwood disapproved of these lies and decided that the king and queen must be punished. They must give up their crowns and offer up themselves. For all eternity they must guard the Everwood and never reveal its secrets. The king and queen agreed and became guardians of the forest. They were bound to the trees by deep, old magic, and their hair and flesh turned white and as cold as stone. Through the years they became ever more powerful, though the burden of their many secrets ate away at them. They told their children to never reveal the truth of what happened that night, for doing so would endanger everything they had built. They commanded the pirate son to do the same and offered him coin in exchange for his silence. Some years later, the pirate fell in love with a woman who bore him 3 boys, who all grew up to be pirates as well. But the pirate father was poisoned by drink, and on the days when he raged, he became a monstrous troll, and his family grew to fear him. The young prince, who hated lies, left the kingdom forever. He would not betray the ancient guardians, but he would no longer be theirs to call son. And so the Everwood grew on, while the ancient guardians watched over its secrets, until, one day, an orphan girl who did not know she was a queen arrived in the forest, and everything began to change. Chapter 43. Now I finally understand. My aunts, 3 girls, trying to be happy, trying to be hearts. It's not just about the blood in your veins. It's also about the smile on your face. Jeffrey Bailey, Jack's father. For kids around Avery's age. For kids, drinks a bonfire. Out in the forest where they weren't supposed to be. A celebration of forgetting their problems for a while. I understand these things. An overgrown house hidden in the trees. A man who had a family and then did not. A melted bicycle, a shoe belonging to Cynthia Travers. The knife? Maybe it fell from someone's pocket. Maybe it was knocked out of the house when the firefighters arrived. Dad, watching it all happen. And after, maybe wanting to talk about it. Maybe wanting to tell the truth. And this is why, isn't it? This is why no one talks about him, why he left, why I am only now meeting my family, because he wanted to tell their secrets. Grandma and Grandpa Hart, hiding it all so no one would see, paying the right people, spinning stories and lies and smiles. That is the truth, the real truth of the Everwood. So that's it, I say into the silence. That's what happened. Stick, Aunt Dee, and Kennedy are crying. Mr. Bailey seems like he might be about to. Cole holds Bennett. Avery looks like if she breathes too hard, she will shatter. Jack watches me. I think he is waiting for me to make the next move. How could you do that? Gretchen blurts out. I know how. What it means to be a heart. You must make the world see you as you want to be seen. Something inside me detonates. I want to hit something or run somewhere or cry until I can't anymore. I want to say I hate them. I want to yell and scream and spit and kick. But I can't do that because I don't. I still love them. I love them. This realization has been coming to me in pieces over the summer, but now it rushes at me, fully formed. Now, after what I have learned. Yes, now. I love my family. I love Aunt Bridget, because her heartbeat sounds like mine. I love Aunt Dee, because she was the first one to say she loves me, too. I love Stick, because I am her cool-ass niece, and she belongs to my Gretchen. I love Grandpa, because he dresses old-fashioned, and he built us a tree patio, and he talked to Dad when no one else would. I even love Grandma, because she slept beside me, and I see the person she is trying to be. They are mine, and I am theirs. We are hearts. It's in the blood. but it isn't fair what they have done. It isn't fair that I love them. I shouldn't love people like that. But people like what? They were only kids, my aunts and Mr. Bailey. They were afraid. And Grandma and Grandpa, they were also afraid for their children and for their own sorry, wonderful selves. I cannot stop imagining Avery doing something like that and hating herself and living with the horrible fact of it forever. I cannot stop imagining what I would have done if instead of my aunts and Mr. Bailey it had been me and my cousins. What would we have done? Would we have been the same? Would we have allowed such secrets to protect one another? The Queen and her companions bound through the power of the Everwood. What would we have done? I think about it, a hot bubble building inside me. Then I decide we would not have done that. We would not have hidden what we had done. What will happen to us all? Maybe the divorce will be a good thing. If the Harts are arrested for keeping so many secrets, Dad will be locked up with the rest of them, and Mom and I can live alone and get stressed and eat cold pizza together. Grandpa looks old and exhausted without all those words inside him. So that's the truth he tells us. I'm sorry, and I don't know what else to say. You hid what happened. I have to say this out loud. Somehow I have to claw through it. All of you did. You lied about it for years. Grandma turns. It isn't that simple, Finley, no. I'm talking now. Me. My ears turn hot and my skin tingles in waves. You kept it secret. You paid Mr. Bailey to keep him quiet. You used your money and made sure no one would know. You scared my dad when he wanted to tell the truth. You scared him away, made him angry. That's why you fought. You're why I'm only just now visiting. Because you were scared. You were selfish and you were cowards. Grandma and Grandpa stare at me like I have told them the sky is falling, which I suppose it is to them. Their perfect, cloudless, blue sky for miles. Aunt Bridget D. Stick. Mr. Bailey, I continued. They didn't mean for that fire to go wrong, but it did. And you couldn't tell anyone because you couldn't let anyone know they'd messed up. Grandma holds her face stiff. I am shouting now, clutching the chair in front of me. All you care about is keeping everything beautiful and peaceful and perfect. But not everything is perfect. Not everything is happy and normal and nice. Not every house is Hart House. Do you get that? All of this is because of you. Without you, there wouldn't have been any secrets. I wouldn't have run away. Dex and Ruth wouldn't have come after me. It's your fault this happened. It's your fault. I cannot talk very well anymore. I feel like I could fly out of my skin. My throat hurts so much I could throw up. It was an accident, Grandma whispers. It was just an accident. Hiding it wasn't an accident. Grandma's eyes meet mine. They look empty, fuzzy, like she has just woken up. She sits in one of the polished chairs and looks too small in it, like a kid in a grown-up's chair. Everyone is quiet, like they are waiting for whatever this thing is between me and Grandma to snap. I sway on my feet. Avery helps me find a chair. She sits down and pulls me onto her lap. Her fingers are stained with paint, hot pink and bright orange and forest green. She feels strong, like the kind of person you would want on your side. She feels safe. But I cannot relax yet. What now? What will happen to all of us? Aunt Dee is still crying. Stick is trying to help her. Mr. Bailey sits with his head in his hands. Jack. Jack. Where is Jack? Jack is passing out cookies, fresh ones, which makes me think Grandma was nervously baking until we all got home safely. Of course. I meet Jack's eyes. Are we okay? He crooks his finger like a hook. Pirate. We're okay, he and I. The rest of us, that is a less certain thing. After that, I do not say much. What is left to say? I watch everyone mill around the kitchen. Hot chocolate for the kids, coffee for the grown-ups. Kennedy sniffles in Uncle Nelson's lap. He holds her like she is 5 instead of 12. Gretchen cleans cups in the kitchen, wearing Grandma's washing gloves and scrubbing like a maniac. I lean against Avery's shoulder and fall asleep and wake up again. Someone brings me saltines, strokes my hair, brings a phone to my ear. It's Mom. Dad is getting their things together. They will arrive in Billington in the morning. Are you okay, sweetie? Finley, my baby Finley. Mom, I'm not a baby. I know, but you always will be to me. Mom, I'm sorry I ran away. I know you are. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Are we going to be okay? I want to say yes, but as I say goodbye to my mother and hang up the phone, I'm not sure. The world is not a sure place anymore. Maybe it has never been. Maybe it has always been a mess, some kind of twisted, cosmic mess we can't possibly understand. This room is full of snobs, secret keepers, liars, and cowards. We hide our mistakes. We drink too much. We get scared and do things we are not proud of. We feel sad even when it makes no sense to feel sad. I hear people talking and lift myself up. Jeffrey. Grandpa sits beside Mr. Bailey. I'm sorry about all of this. Don't be. Mr. Bailey's voice is rough. It was about time, wasn't it? Grandpa pauses. It looks like something inside him is fighting to get out. I always wanted to. I don't know. Come out and confess. Tell the truth. But I didn't know how. I found my grandkids playing with your boys a few weeks ago. Mr. Bailey's eyes flicked to me and back to Grandpa. Jack told me. It scared me. Yeah, me too. Grandpa sighs and tugs his shirt straight. He holds out his hand, and Mr. Bailey grabs on. I guess this is the start of something, Grandpa says. Warren, says Mr. Bailey, sounding shaky. I'm scared out of my mind. Me too. Mr. Bailey gives him a sad smile. I kind of like it. Feels nice. Grandpa passes him a fresh cup of coffee. Feels like a beginning. I feel like telling them that this isn't starting tonight. It started with us, with me, Gretchen, Kennedy, Dex, Ruth, Avery, Jack, Cole, and Bennett. It started in the Everwood. We found the truth in those trees, but I think they know that. I fall asleep on the sofa in the sunroom. Rain trickles down the windows, pinging on the green glass roof like tiny birds' feet. When I wake up, it takes me a moment to realize who is sitting at the kitchen table. Mr. Bailey, Aunt Dee, and Stick. Grandma. My chest tightens, but I keep my eyes cracked open. What now? What will Grandma say? Aunt Dee whispers, and then what? What will happen to us? "It doesn't matter," says Grandma, her voice pure heart. She sounds ready to clean attics and organize cities. Finley was right. We've been selfish. All of us. Stick holds Grandma's hand tight. Everyone is quiet. Mr. Bailey says, "She's a brave girl, Mrs. Hart." Grandma says, "You're right, Jeffrey. My Finley is a queen." Her Finley. Hers. On this couch, I am weightless. I want to live inside this moment forever. Through the glass ceiling, I see the clouds clearing away to reveal an ocean of stars. Everyone at the kitchen table keeps talking, quietly, slowly. They are small, scared creatures trying to find their way. I wonder if I will ever find mine. Chapter 44. The next time I wake up, all the lights are off except one. Grandma is sitting alone at the kitchen table holding a coffee mug. Sometimes I think whatever is wrong with me is wrong with Mom or Dad too. Maybe it is a thing I will never be able to shake because it comes straight from my bad cells. Sometimes I think I must have done something terrible or will do something terrible to deserve such a fate. My sadness might be a punishment. I wonder if Grandma thinks things like, how many more cups of coffee will I have in this life? How long will the rest of my life be? I wonder if she ever asks herself, is this cancer punishment for something I have done? For hiding an accident? For keeping secrets? Grandma catches me watching her. "Oh, you're awake." She comes toward me, pauses, looks around the room, goes to the kitchen, gets another coffee mug, starts making me hot chocolate. I move to the table, sit, and wait. I feel like I should say something, but I do not know what that would be. Grandma sits back down. I sip my hot chocolate and watch her face, but she does not meet my eyes. Every tick of the clock above the sunroom doors is a crash in the silence. Not everything is perfect, Grandma says softly. Not everything is happy. It takes me a moment to realize that she is repeating what I screamed at her a few hours ago. Is that what you've been trying to tell me, Finley? All summer. Grandma clasps her hands tightly together and looks at me, waiting. Everything around me, the whole world, my whole life, narrows down to this moment. Grandma, in her peach-colored blouse, her pearls, her makeup not even smudged, even after everything that happened. The clock crashing away. The soft light of the kitchen, the sky getting brighter outside, the hot chocolate steaming in front of me. If I am a puzzle, this is the moment in which I find the first corner piece. There is still a lot of work to do. I still have 1,000 pieces of myself to fit into place. But everyone knows you're supposed to find the corners first. They are the beginning. My family has found theirs, and I have just found mine. All it took was someone else asking a question, making me search for an answer I think I already knew. Maybe we should not be talking about this. After everything I have learned in the past couple of days, don't more important things need discussing? What will happen to us if Grandma decides to tell the world the truth? Finley? Grandma folds her soft, warm hand around mine. Are you all right? Really? Like, honestly? Yes. Then again, I have heard people say, Mom, when she's stressed about work, Rhonda, when she's trying to sound mature, that it is important to take life one day at a time, one moment at a time, One item on the great big list of life to-dos at a time. This can be my moment right now, between me and Grandma. One moment out of a billion ones yet to come. It is okay for me to have that. I take a deep breath. How many people have I told about this? Ever? No one. Not a single living soul. Only my notebook. The Everwood, of course, already knew. We are connected, me and those trees. Everything about this summer comes back to me like I am seeing it for the first time. I don't think I'm okay. I stare at the table. I'm not very happy. A single knot inside me untangles. Grandma waits, her hand on mine. I'm sad a lot, I say. And I get afraid a lot. Really afraid. Like, panicky for no reason. And I don't know why. I tell her it scares me. I tell her it makes me angry. I tell her I feel guilty about it. I know I should be happy. I want to carve this thing out of me with a knife. Grandma smiles, not her magazine smile. More like Mom when she is tired and comes in after a long day to tuck me in. Mom says she refuses to give up that parental right, even when I am grown up. I know the feeling, wanting to carve something out of you, says Grandma. Oh, of course she does. I'm sorry, don't be. I'm going to be okay. That's what the doctor says? That's what I say. Even I know that cancer is not so simple. You cannot smile it better. You cannot tell it you are a heart and watch it obey. You should tell them you're sick, I say. Who? Everyone. Grandma's lips thin. Finley, they would want to know. And they will, eventually. For now this house will remain what it is. For as long as I can keep it that way, I will. There is no arguing with her. I am used to the expression on her face. I see it on my own all the time when I look in the mirror and tell myself, you will stop feeling sad. You will push it down. You will be okay. You will be happy now. Right now. Maybe Grandma and I are more alike than I have ever thought possible. Grandma sighs, looks at her hands. Finley, I did everything wrong, didn't I? All of this. The dresses, Dr. Bristow. Your notebook. I kept thinking I was making you happy, making you better, but I think, deep down, I knew I wasn't. I was doing those things for me, and I'm sorry. She laughs, a puff of soft, sad air. I was doing all of this for me. For the family. And it was all wrong. My eyes fill up. I am so tired of that feeling, but I cannot stop it. Mom and Dad are getting a divorce, and I don't know what will happen now. Grandma's face goes soft. Oh, Finley. None of us do, about any of it. But we have to keep going anyway. Giving up is not an option in this house. And if you have to keep going, you might as well smile while you're doing it. Don't you think that's right? Yeah, I guess so. You guess so. My smile is small, but it still counts. I know so. Quite right. So, why don't you finish your drink? Then, since you're up, you can help me make breakfast. Pancakes? Grandma gets up, snaps a dish towel, and folds it. Naturally. This is one of the reasons why you keep going, I think. Even after everything else has gone wrong, pancakes still smell the same. What it means to be a heart, giving up is not an option. And if you have to keep going, you might as well smile while you're doing it. That says everything you need to know, really. Chapter 45. 45. Sometimes before you can give someone help, the person has to ask you for it, because they have gotten really good at hiding what hurts them. I know, because I am good at that. I know, because I am learning that it is okay to ask for help. Otherwise, how will you ever find it? Jack and I lie on our backs in the tower. Across the river, back in the wasteland, a crew is working to rebuild the bone house. Except we do not want to call it the bone house anymore. It is too macabre. 7-letter word for representing death. I have added this to my list of favorite words. Not to be morbid, but because it will help me remember. Also, we have asked the crew to keep Cole's mural of all of us, and they agreed. We will live forever in that house, no matter what happens. My cousins and I cracked open our box of dues, because the summer is almost over, and we do not need material items to know we are bound together forever. Through blood, of course, but through the Everwood, too. I close my eyes and let the wind rush over me. I hear birds singing and Grandma's wind chimes. Beside me, Jack belches. I want to laugh, but it catches on something in my throat and disappears. Mom and Dad are here now. Even though they had to take some time off work to do it, they brought their things and are staying for a while to help with everything. Mom could not resist the chance to recreate the bone house. She has been in constant conversation with the building crew about the curve of the staircase, the dimensions of the kitchen. No, not the bone house. What will we call it? We have to figure it out soon. When all this is done, my parents and I will leave. Then one of them will leave again, and I will live. Where? I will be split between 2 homes, 2 parents. If that pizza boy ever starts delivering pizzas again, he may not know where to find me. I will be far from my Everwood. I press my palms flat against the tower floor. Sometimes over the past few days, so much has been going on that I have forgotten how I really feel. But when I have a moment to sit back and think, I slip back into that cold, blue water again, and I can hardly move at all. Yes! Still, after everything that's happened, still my sadness remains. It comes and goes in waves, like a never-ending ocean. Jack puts his feet up on the painted wall. I have a plan. For what? For keeping you here in Billington. Good luck with that. No, seriously, hear me out. I sigh. Okay, shoot. So, your grandparents' castle probably has a dungeon somewhere, Jack. Come on. No, this is great. Listen, we find the key. Lock your parents inside. We don't let them out until they agree to our terms. A, they let you stay in Billington. B, they get over themselves and cancel the divorce. There are so many problems with that plan. What are you talking about? It's flawless. What if there's no dungeon? What will we tell my dad's boss and my mom's clients? What if we get arrested for, imprisoning my parents? Okay, so the plan needs some work. A little bit, yeah. Avery's painting music floats down from the garage. Hey, Jack says after a while. I'm sorry. For what? For getting mad that night. When you saw my mom and dad. You've said sorry about 10 million times. Yeah, but I never told you why I got mad. It's okay. Seriously, Finley. Jack turns onto his side to look at me. I want to tell you. When I look back at him, I realize too late that I do not know how to handle this situation. Jack is so close that his breath moves tiny strands of my hair. Okay, I say. What? Why'd I get mad? Jack. Yes. Why'd you get mad? Because, well, I have this crush on you. It kind of seems like a joke, with him staring at me so serious. People who say things like that while looking so serious are bound to be poking fun at you. Right? Jack and me. Me and Jack. We are in the tower, and it seems like it's right where we are supposed to be. Stop making fun of me, I say. I'm 100% serious. It's just, I didn't want you to see them. Whenever Mom comes by, she's in such a bad mood, and Dad, he's great. But when he gets like that, when he drinks, he's scary. Yeah, he was nice, though, after. He is. I love him, you know? I just don't always like him. He's got problems. I do laugh then. What else can I do? He's not the only one. Jack cracks a grin. Hey, you know what? What? You're blushing. I sit up and shake my hair over my cheeks. I am not. It's okay. Jack grins. You can have a crush on me, too. This is getting out of hand. How can you just say things like that? He shrugs. That's the way I am. Well, you want to know the way I am? Jack sits up. Definitely. I have only said these words out loud twice, to Grandma, to Mom and Dad, and now to Jack. I have these things I call blue days, I say, when I get sad for no reason. Jack nods and waits. He hasn't run away screaming yet, and I don't mean normal sad. At all. I mean sad for no reason. Heavy sad. I wake up feeling happy, and then anything can happen or nothing can happen, and all of a sudden I'm sad, and I can't stop being sad, even though I want to. Sometimes I freak out so bad I can't breathe. Sometimes I pretend to be sick to stay home from school because it feels impossible to get out of bed. That's how I came up with the Everwood. I started writing about it to make myself feel better. I stop feeling dizzy. Each time I talk about this, each time I let out the words, I feel lighter, clear like the Everwood sky. So, I say, do you still have a crush on me? Yep, says Jack. Why? How can you? Too long to explain, but I do have a question. I sigh. He is exasperating. He needs to comb his hair. What? Were you happy in the Everwood? With all of us? Yes. I answer that without thinking. But you were still sad, too? This I answer more slowly, because it makes me angry to admit it. Yes. Well, okay. So that has to mean something. Right. Like what? Like maybe you have to really try and fix it now. The stuff that's been bothering you. The blue days. Because if you're sad, even when you're happy, even when you're doing stuff you like doing, maybe you can't just ignore it forever. His words remind me of what Mom said the other night, snuggled up in my bed here at Hart House. You can't hide in the Everwood anymore, sweetie. Dad sat beside the bed in a chair. Before, he would have been in there with us. But that was before. We can help you, Finn, Dad said. There are lots of ways to help you with this. But we've all got to try together. Okay. And now I am sitting beside Jack, and he shrugs. Maybe you've got to ask someone to help you figure it out. I don't know. I guess so, I say. Jack smiles. No big deal. No big deal. I'll help if you want. You can write me letters and tell me everything. What about the dungeon plan? Jack holds my hand. Is this okay? If this day had a color, it would be as gold as the sun. Yeah, it's okay. It is so okay that it surpasses all possible definitions of the word. So, the dungeon plan. In progress. Jack sticks his other arm out into the sun and closes his eyes. But don't worry. We'll figure it out. He is right. This is a work in progress. I will figure it out. For reasons beyond my understanding, Dr. Bristow is not mad about the open window incident. She gives me an enormous hug the moment I step into her office, in fact. That doesn't seem entirely professional to me, but I like it anyway. I have a substantial amount of good huggers in my life. This might not be something everyone enjoys. We settle on the couch. Mom, me, Dad, Dr. Bristow in her chair. So, Finley, she says, what's on your mind today? I breathe in and breathe out. I've been thinking, I say. I talked a lot with Mom and Dad. That's good. What about? About me. We've done some research. I breathe in. I breathe out. It's okay, Finley. Let her see. Dad squeezes my hand. I think I have depression. I hesitate. And anxiety, too. When I say it, the words float away from me and leave nothing behind. They are only words. They are only part of me, and I am still here. I do not need to be afraid of them. Sometimes I have panic attacks, I say. Sometimes I can't sleep. Sometimes I sleep too much, and sometimes I hurt and can't breathe. Dr. Bristow says, what happens when you start to feel like this? What do you do next? I think for a second and then glance at Mom. She smiles at me and pulls my notebook out of her purse. I settle it on my lap and open to the first story I ever wrote about the Everwood, about how the Everwood came to be, when the world was very young and full of magic. I told the story to Mr. Bailey that night, sitting under the stars with him and Jack. This is the story of my heart. I think I should read some of these stories to you, I tell her. They explain everything. Dr. Bristow smiles. That sounds perfect. So I scoot back until I am wedged tight between Mom and Dad. I find the beginning and I start to read. Chapter 46. Why my life is beautiful. I know a lot of good huggers. Jack and I will continue to write letters. We do not yet have a new name for the Bone House, but we will think of one. We still have so many fun things left to do. We are only just beginning. There is now a memorial near the finished Bone House in honor of the Travers family. Grandma and Grandpa want to tell people the whole truth. That in itself is scary, but I have learned it is important to tell the truth, even if it is frightening. And no matter what, we will all have one another, now and forever. We are all linked, we hearts. We share blood and bones. We are a battleship, and we will not sink. Mom and Dad will always love me, even though Dad now lives in another apartment. His apartment overlooks a giant wooded park. He says that is why he chose it for me, so I could see trees, even when I am not in my Everwood. I am in the process of introducing Rhonda to the Beatles. She is not yet convinced, but I am persistent. Avery will leave for the Rigby Institute next year. We are already planning my first visit. She texts me picture updates of her newest paintings every week. It is okay to be sad. It does not mean I am broken or strange or a non-heart. Dex is alive. I am alive. Grandma is alive. Right now is all that matters, because right now is what we know. The future is wide open, and the world is full of people who get scared and lie and are sad and happy. That is how it is supposed to be.